Hey guys, this is a throwback right here, going live on my channel. Also, I am sorry. I am such a noob. Okay. Also, Fleur is meowing in the background. Hey for just posting that last video and then just not posting anything. I don't really have an excuse. It's just there is a lot going on in Emily World right now. I'm gonna go grab Fleur really quickly. For those of you that don't know, Fleur is my cat. I'm gonna go get her. Right. Here is the baboos. The little friend girl. She's my little baby girl. Anyways, so I've given this a lot of thought, and for those of you that follow me on Instagram, I kind of said this earlier that I am kind of done with MBTI in general. I've talked about this before, but whoa, are you okay? Are you okay, my pretty girls? Is that a coffins? So my intention for this channel was to get people, well, I wanted to inspire people, number one. The secondary thing was, once I started getting into MBTI, my plan was never to stick with MBTI because I personally don't agree with MBTI completely. I think it's pretty surface level as compared to other personality things, especially Socionics. So basically, I still want to put out the fourth installment of being the types for a year, even though that's a really dead meme at this point. I want to do the the SP types. But as far as after that and going forward, I really want to focus on Socionics because Myers-Briggs is just not doing it. I think for those of you that maybe are on this, I don't know, personality journey, I think we get to a certain point with Myers-Briggs where it's just like hitting a wall. Like we kind of plateau with it. And that's kind of how I feel. I can see that other people feel this way about it. And really, I could talk about stereotypes, I could talk about Myers-Briggs definitions, but at the end of the day, it's just not as comprehensive as Socionics. So I understand that because I'm deciding to basically go for something that is a relatively new personality theory, and relatively new as in I believe it was created in the 70s or 80s. I might be wrong about that. Anyways, it's not as well known as Myers-Briggs, and that was partly to do with the fact that it was originated in Eastern Europe. But personally, I'm way more interested in the type relations and actually understanding cognitive functions. I think people get into Myers-Briggs because they want to feel heard, and they want to feel like they can relate to things. And I've gotten to the point, I still believe in Myers-Briggs, I'm an INFJ. I know that's debated, whatever, but at the end of the day, I could give a flying flip what people think of me and Myers-Briggs. What matters to me more than anything is Socionics. And this is not something I really like about Socionics. It doesn't talk about rarity. It doesn't talk about these really gimmicky things like sensor bias and all of these things. Basically, everybody is on an equal level. And yeah, the personalities there could be a percentage here and there, But then again, when we go to Myers-Briggs about percentages and rarity and stuff like that, who's doing the research? And who is in the study? There is no way that we were able to study every 7, 8 billion, 9 billion people in this world. That's obviously not the case. So how can we say that this small group of people is our percentage? And that's something I've always had an issue with rarity. And it's very, I think a lot of people in Myers-Briggs get behind the fact that, like, for example, INFJs are considered one of the rare types, or INTJs, ENTJs, stuff like that. At the end of the day, that should not be the reason you're into personality theory. You shouldn't be into personality theory because you think you're cool because you're an INTJ. You shouldn't be into personality theory because you, I don't know, have a rare personality type and ride on the coattails of this personality type. I know that, I've made videos in the past about INFJs and stuff like that. But really, I mean, I've said this before and I will say it again. I really did like doing interviews of people. There were so many people I interviewed that I really didn't think they were typed correctly. And I didn't say that to them just out of whatever, and it's just not my place. But at the end of the day, who gives a about who someone is in Myers-Briggs? Because Myers-Briggs is not meant to be deep. And I wanted to make Myers-Briggs deeper than it is by making it a smoother transition for people into getting into Socionics, because from the very beginning of me talking about Myers-Briggs, I've kind of talked about Socionics as well, but very small amounts. I don't agree with a lot of the Myers-Briggs definitions towards things, especially cognitive functions. I think it's ridiculous that there is a sensor bias. Like, when people call me an ISFP in Myers-Briggs and they think that that's going to be offensive, it's not offensive. And in fact, ISFPs, I admire ISFPs. Or when people say that I'm an INTJ because I look a certain way, I literally have gotten so many people send me messages that I'm an INTJ because I have this kind of intuitive gaze, and probably I'm going to get messages after this on Instagram. Who cares? I don't care. If you want to, you can literally call me an ESTJ and Myers-Briggs, and I will be fine with that. But I really don't give a shit about Myers-Briggs. I do, but I don't. I think it's awesome because I think it's a great way for people to get into typology. It's really kind of not the only way, but it's the most popular way. People don't know about Socionics. I think even though I've talked about it here and there, people just don't see that. Even on my channel, even though I've probably said Socionics so many times in different videos, people don't really know what Socionics is because it's not something that people know about. I don't know. I just feel very fired up about this. Also, as far as the podcast goes, I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast. I have a podcast with Sean and Taylor, and Sean is an INTJ in Myers-Briggs, and Taylor is an ESTP in Myers-Briggs. And we have been doing this podcast for a little while. I've been doing it with Sean since I want to say February, March. We've gone through different hosts a little bit, but even with the podcast, we had a talk last night about the podcast and just other things in general. I just kind of was we all kind of agreed on this, that we're just basically going to change it over to Socionics. Because really, Myers-Briggs, at the end of the day, was meant as a test to group people in work environments and school environments. If you look at, I actually want to make, I'm sorry I'm sounding really ranty in this, but if you look at 16personalities.com, which is one of my most hated websites out there. I have such a love-hate relationship, but mostly hate with that website. I want to make a smear campaign against that website because it's so annoying, but it's also so good because it's so like clicky and like I like to use the word sexy when talking about Myers-Briggs because, and not sexy as in, I'm attracted to Myers-Briggs. It's, well, kind of. People are like attracted to it because it has like little buzzwords and stuff like that. It's just easy to digest. Myers-Briggs is meant to be surface level. Myers-Briggs doesn't really go into the cognitive functions. Like 16 personality types doesn't really go, 16personalitytypes.com doesn't even go into the cognitive functions. It just kind of goes over INTJs and relationships, pros and cons, all this stuff. And there's so many people online right now, and I would say there's also a lot of people that are doing good, but there are so many people in this community that are just feeding into the stereotypes or reading off like things from websites about just surface level information that works for so many people. There's a reason why people get mistyped, and it's because they look at like, especially like the INTJ description or the INFJ description or ENFP description. They look at it and they're like, oh, I relate to this. And then they get mistyped in Myers-Briggs, and it's not helpful. You might feel like you're being understood, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's really why you should be interested in this stuff. And a lot of people are interested in personality theory in a passive manner. And I certainly don't let personality theory rule my life either. Like, I do talk about it with people in my real life, and actually, like, sorry, I have like cat hair in my nose. And I do have like I'm now helping run a Socionics meetup in Atlanta, Georgia, which, by the way, if you live in this area, we're going to be doing a meetup every single week, or at least try to. So I think that's going to be awesome. Hey, Jack. Yeah, Jack, I'm fired up. I'm really, okay. Partly, I would have to say that there are two people that really did inspire this. And I would say Jack from World Socionics Society, and also Milton. Both of those people, and my friend Ruth. All three of those people have really inspired me to just kind of drop the whole Myers-Briggs stuff, because Myers-Briggs literally sucks. I mean, not really. I mean, I still have such a high regard for Myers-Briggs in a lot of ways, but I really don't give a shit about it in the same regard. Like, I'm an IEI. Like, that's what I relate to the most. I don't relate to everything INFJ, but I relate to so many things IEI. If you go on 16types.info, if you look at the female profile of IEI, and if you look at the beta quadra, and you look at, the different subtypes and all this stuff, and like intertype relations, because really why I find it so interesting is knowing what my sister's type is, what my mom's type is, my dad's type is, like other people in my life, and even people online. And that intertype relation, that's what's really cool. And that's what's really neat about personality theory and how you can actually develop yourself. Whereas in Myers-Briggs, it's just all about how are you going to work in the workplace. And also, I really want to make a video about this too, is how so effing annoying the J and the P are in Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs, they do not use perceiving and judging in the same way. Like, they have such a completely different definition of what perceiving and judging is. Fleurist. Sorry, my room is literally a mess right now, but my cat Fleur is standing next to the door, like she literally touched the door. Here, let me get her. You're not going out. You're trappy. I trapped you. You're a trappy girl. But yeah, I just think that there isn't enough material. Like, there's a lot of material about socionics. There isn't a lot of like YouTubers talking about socionics, or at least like intro level stuff. And I think, for example, Jack has a lot of information about socionics, obviously, and I really admire you, Jack, for the way you're going about things. But at the same time, I think for people that are just getting into socionics and don't really have a good like understanding of it, and maybe got into it through Myers-Briggs, which I would say at this point, if you're watching this, you probably got into whatever through Myers-Briggs or some type of other personality theory. And I just think I want to try to help people understand on a more beginner level at first, and really walk people through this journey. And it's going to be a journey. It's not going to be easy. I still want to do funny videos as well, but I really want to gear it towards socionics, because I just don't like, I don't want this to be, it already is a rant, but like I don't even want to be called an INFJ anymore. Like, I don't want to be called that. I mean, I'm okay being called it, but I don't even want to be that anymore. Like, I mean, in Myers-Briggs, I do believe I'm an INFJ, but like, the whole terminology in Myers-Briggs is just like annoying and confusing for people. And I really wanted to do a smooth transition where I just like tiptoed around socionics and didn't really like talk about the fact that I think Myers-Briggs just is not correct in a lot of ways. Like, I wanted to do it where it was like more of a smooth transition, but I really have realized that this is just not the case. I'm gonna just have to go like, all right, this is what we're doing on this channel. I will give people disclaimers for those of you that are like, maybe even the people that are not watching this live stream right now, and you don't know anything about socionics, and you came to my channel because of Myers-Briggs. I will make disclaimers saying, hey, this is not Myers-Briggs. This is not, like, I don't want this to be Myers-Briggs. I don't want to be compared to the other Myers-Briggs people. Like, I mean, I know that that's bound to happen, but at the same time, it's like, this is not going to be Myers-Briggs. And again, I said this earlier, I am going to make that last installment of the 4 like ST types or SP types in Myers-Briggs, just because I want to round it out. Like, I have, even though it's been so long since I did, being the types for a year, I want to round that out and like actually put that out there. But going forward after that, I really kind of don't want this channel to be like, let me tiptoe around what I really want to talk about. All right, Flair, I'll let you out. What is it, my poodle girl? Anyways, since I did the little rant, I will now look at the comments, because it's such a rant and I have been very negligent. And again, I've looked at the comments from the last video. I am going to respond. And actually, after this video, I will make it a point to respond to those comments, because you guys were incredibly nice in the comments of that last video that I posted. And it's incredible that there are still people watching this channel, considering I kind of dropped off of the face of the earth. I mean, especially if you don't follow me on other social media, you're like, where did Emily go? What happened to Emily? Like, you're probably thinking, you might have thought that. I'm doing good. I am very busy. Like, I work a lot, but I really want to put forward effort to like do stuff on this channel, which just means that, again, there's going to be a lot of kind of uncomfortable videos for people. And if you don't like learning things, and if you don't really want to, I mean, I'm going to have like funny videos as well, but if you don't want to go on this journey about socionics and you really exclusively like Myers-Briggs or whatever else, like, go ahead and do that, because I mean, unsubscribe, go to some other Myers-Briggs channel, because that's not going to be this channel anymore. I don't really want to be an advocate for Myers-Briggs. I just think that there are things that need to die, and that's something that needs to die. It's a good liaison for getting people into this, but I really would like to put Socionics on the map more and more. And I really just want this stupid surface level test, Myers-Briggs, aka Myers-Briggs, to not be as so like prevalent and annoying. I know that it's a very lofty goal, but we'll see. Okay, let me look at the comments. David, if MBTI became more a science and became more in depth, would you get back into it? No, and the reason why. So I'm still going to be in MBTI. I still know a lot about MBTI. There's only so much you can know about MBTI, actually. It's not the same with Socionics. Like, I have known about Socionics for a pretty long time, like almost closer to 10 years than it is like anything. Like, probably more like 7 or 8 years I've known about Socionics. And I'm not saying I'm an expert about it, obviously not, but we can go on this journey together. It is the superior theory, and it takes in the cognitive functions. So there are literally no reasons for Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs, if you want to have a surface level test, define you into different categories that actually are kind of problematic in their own right, and you want to feel like you're the superior master race because you are an intuitive, and all these other people are the sensors that have, like, there's so many sensors out there and they're so stupid, and intuitives are so smart. If you want to do that, by all means, be with Myers-Briggs. Do the Myers-Briggs thing. I don't blame you, especially if you're an intuitive, because Myers-Briggs is a great place for intuitives. But for everyone else that kind of wants to take a journey, and I'm not saying that I'm going to be the best resource for this, but I'm going to do my darndest to try to be a good resource for this. If you want to go on this Socionics journey and really try to figure out your personality type in relation to other people, in relation to your development, all this stuff, then yeah. But yeah, Myers-Briggs, in my mind, I canceled it. Canceled Myers-Briggs, at least for me. Sorry, again, I'm allergic to cats. I have a cat, and I have cat hair, like, near my nose and on my lips, which is annoying, but it's worth it. Hext vibes. I feel the same way. Socionics seems to be the way to go. MBTI has quite dry and perhaps even outdated in a sense, and yes, people really don't know what Socionics is. Yes. Nina Willow. Hey, Nina. Yes, I just started Socionics. Zane Z. Socionics is what I prefer. MBTI is a workplace personality tool, but it is really not well formulated. At least Socionics attempts to make a theory to explain the functions. Yes. Yeah. At least for now, Jack definitely from World Socionic Society is a really good resource. Yeah, and he also got me on board with the Atlanta meetup. Zenzi, MBTI's strengths is how common the terminology and terms are. None of the strengths are in its descriptive ability. Yes, and that's exactly right. So I really have a lot of appreciation for Myers-Briggs in that regard, because people don't talk about Socionics. Like, if you were to go on the street right now and say, hey, have you not even taken the test, because I don't agree with taking tests for that kind of stuff, but do you know anything about Socionics? They would probably look at you sideways and like think, what is this cult? I don't know what it is. But if you talked about Myers-Briggs, they would be like, oh, I took that in high school. I took that at my, I don't know, my marketing job. Like, we were told to take the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and I'm an ENTJ, so I'm a great leader. Like, whatever it is, that's what you're gonna get. So let's see. Kenny Ho, what's the best article for Socionics? I would definitely recommend World Socionics Society's forum, and also, Wiki Socion is a good one, and also 16types.info. The 16types.info, I would say, is the best resource, because that is the originator of like the translated information. And again, why also this is not as well known is it did not start in the US. It did not start in the Western world. In a lot of senses, it is a Eastern European thing that was developed during when Russia was still, or Eastern Europe was still, the Soviet Union. So it wasn't really, it's just not the same as what we know with Myers-Briggs. It wasn't marketed in the same ways, and also the whole culture behind that society is very different than the Western world. Okay. HR 8938. Are you an INFP? In Myers-Briggs, I do not consider myself an INFP. In Socionics, I am an INFP. Or I am very certain that I am an INFP in Socionics, which is an IEI, an intuitive, ethical introvert. In Socionics, there is a 3-letter indicator. They also do the 4-letter indicators, except for the intuitives and I mean, not the intuitives, the introverts are like the P and the J are flipped. So, and you can't necessarily make a hard transfer over from Myers-Briggs to Socionics. And I think the primary reason why you can't do that, you can't just flip the P and the J if you're an introvert. Primary reason is a lot of people mistype in Myers-Briggs because it is a very surface level thing, and people are trying to make it more in depth, including myself, trying to make it more deep than it actually is. And I think the people that do that, they want to be able to transfer it over and get deeper with it, but unfortunately, Myers-Briggs is not a very deep theory in general. World Socionics Society. I think what we need is some boldness, some consistency. We've piqued the interest. I definitely agree with that. I think consistency is a huge thing, and I mean, I've been consistent in the past, and I really want to be consistent again. If that means posting 1 video a week at first, I will just have to do that. I hope that I'm able to get in a swing of things where I post more than 1 video a week, but that is just what I'm going to have to do at first. And little by little, I want Socionics to creep into the popular thought. But obviously, Jack and I and Milton and my other friends that know about Socionics can't do it alone. And I'm not saying let's all join the Socionics cult and like spread the word. That's not what I'm saying, but if you have a grasp of Socionics, I think putting stuff about Socionics out there is only going to obviously give more attention to the theory. Let's see. Enigmalicious. I'm open to being shown how Socionics is more helpful and insightful. I'm not bound to MBTI, so I'm looking forward to beginner-friendly Socionics videos. Yeah. And then, sorry, I need to read faster. Also, guys, I don't know if I've said this before. I've said this on Instagram before. I'm dyslexic. I haven't really talked about it too much on this channel, but I am dyslexic. So I actually, it's kind of annoying because like IQ wise and like, I guess intelligence wise, I am pretty highly intelligent in a lot of regards. But when it comes to reading out loud and also reading numbers and spelling things, I'm not always the best about it. And you will notice I can be a very good writer, but I will not write things properly, like grammatically correct all the time, because I will just, my mind just completely just doesn't see certain things. And I will literally read numbers backwards all the time, and that is very frustrating. Anyways, I'm not the best reader, so I apologize if that, this is something I have been working on my whole life to be somewhat like manageable with reading. So at least out loud. Not out loud, I'm good, but yeah. Do I have a boyfriend? No, I do not. Wow, you're one of the best typology channels on YouTube. Well, that is extremely sweet. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I will take that compliment, but I hope I live up to that, because at this point, I don't think that, just because I've also been gone for so long. Enigmalicious, embrace the controversy. I'm here for the knowledge, personally, not necessarily for the humor. Yes. But the reason why I say humor is, I mean, I think it will be interesting. There obviously isn't like Socionics humor stuff out there. I personally just want to do that because I think, obviously, there's a lot of bad things with stereotypes, or like, I guess, there are certain bad things with like the standard, whatever, like you fill in the blank, like the basic white girl, the I don't know, just think of like what you think of like a stereotype. There are obviously bad things, but there's also truths in stereotypes. So that's kind of why like doing kind of comedic things with that, I think, is a good way to help people learn things. As long as they know that it is meant to be a stereotype, or it's meant to be humorous rather than to be taken seriously. And I also want to have stuff that's like actual, like informational and informative types of stuff. Okay. Wow. Socionics is also more faithful to Jung's typology than MBTI. In some ways, yes. But Jeffrey Sherman, where'd the hate for MBTI come from? It's been there. It's been there. It's been brewing in me for a long time. Basically, whenever I found out about Socionics, so I didn't go deep with Myers-Briggs until I knew about Socionics. Like, I've known about Myers-Briggs longer than I've known about Socionics. I've known about Myers-Briggs since I was 16, so for 10 years. But it wasn't until I got into Socionics did it take it to the next level. And I will have to thank my friend Ruth, who is one of the original moderators on 16types.info. And again, I was not around during that time. Well, I was living on this planet, but I was not into the Socionics world. I was actually in middle school during this time. So that was not even on my mind at all. But she is like 4 or 5 years older than me. And I met her in college, and she's one of my best friends. And she's also mutual friends with my now friend Milton, who runs the 16types.info. And yeah, she was the one that got me into it. And I have to thank her above everyone else in this community and anything. Because the whole reason I even got as deep as I have gone in is because of her. Let's see. Astrid the Earthling. Kokoki is giving off Linus vibes. Respect. Well, thank you. I am a Leo. Kenny Ho. I'd like to hear why. Hexed vibes. Yes, unfortunately, MBTI seems to hold the prevalent dominance in personality theory. Type theory, yes. World Socionics Society. I think Kokoki is a wonderful voice for Socionics in the typology community, and I'm really proud of that she's running the Atlanta meetup with Tim. I look forward to seeing where she goes in the future. Yeah, well, it's been great. I think that running the typology meetup, which again, if you guys want to join, I don't know where you guys live. Like some of you I do know because we've talked about it. But for those of you that live in the Atlanta area, we're going to be doing a Socionics meetup every single week, give or take. Like it's going to be consistent regardless. And this is going to be a good way to meet in person and talk about these theories very deeply, because obviously online or even on this like ranty live stream that I'm conducting right now, first of all, I definitely prefer in-person conversations above all else. I like having interaction with people. I don't want to like always do a rant, but it's a more intimate and I feel like more understanding and deeper way of doing it. But since a lot of you guys don't live in the Atlanta, Georgia area or even live in the US, that isn't necessarily something that you would be able to do. Which, that being said, I would, in the future, my goal in 2020 is to do a meetup somewhere, at least in the US, where like a more central location for people, where people can actually, like we can all meet up, not all, but like as many people that wants to, and talk about this stuff. And hopefully by then, we're gonna be on a more level playing field as far as understanding, which again, I will again plug the podcast. I know that it's not as popular, especially because we don't like show our faces, but the My Type of Shit podcast that I have with Sean and Taylor, we have intentions of turning that into a Socionics podcast. I want to infiltrate the system. I will be a Kazakami bomber. I will be I will go on a suicide mission if it means doing that. Like not literally, but like I really am at the end of my rope with all this, and I will just like I just don't give a shit. Like if again, like who cares? Like people can literally call me whatever type of Myers-Briggs at this point. Like whatever you want to think in Myers-Briggs, go for it. Make videos, post it on some weird personality website and be like, this person's definitely an ENTP because she did this or something like that. Whatever you want to do, go for it. But that is really like, at the end of the day, Socionics is where we're going. What made you change from MBTI to Socionics? David, go. I've always preferred Socionics over MBTI as long as I've known about it. Enigmalicious. Well, because she found it to be superior, I heard Socionics is more used in Russia. Probably there's more Russian content. Yes. Well, it is an Eastern European. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it started in Lithuania. I might be wrong. I know that a lot of it started in Russia as well, but it was in the Soviet Union at the time. So I'm not extremely a big detail person as far as little things like that, but in order for this like, in order for me to be as accurate or as whatever about the information I want to put across with Socionics, I will get to that point where I know these things, even if those little details don't matter as much in my mind, because I really want people to really go deep with this. And obviously, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people are going to just want the quick fix Myers-Briggs stuff. Jeffrey Sherman, the hate doesn't seem to be typology related. She hasn't given any reason. I don't know. Enigmalicious. We'll see what she has to say about why it is superior. Okay. John King. A person can study MBTI and Socionics to their heart's content, but if they leave out the Enneagram and astrology, personality, then they miss the mark. Okay, John, I think that Enneagram and astrology definitely have its own place. And I have actually a really funny video in mind for Enneagram. And I know a lot about astrology as well. I agree to an extent with that. I think a lot of people think that astrology is a very woohoo, like hocus pocus kind of whatever. That is if you just look at the sun sign and you don't go deeper than that. I think that when you look at charts and you compare other people's charts, it's very individual, but I also don't think that's more of an individual journey rather than something, and you can definitely teach stuff about astrology, but it's not really the point of why I want to talk about socionics, because socionics is something that's a little bit more measurable in the sense of like type relations and getting into the subtypes and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying that astrology does not have that kind of depth and that level of research, but for the purposes of this channel, I really want to focus on socionics. Enigmalicious. I'm working on starting my own YouTube channel on topics around psychology, metaphysics, etc. I also wanted to make a video of the value of typology. Perhaps until then, I will have learned more about socionics and talk about it. Yes, that would be really cool. Oh, okay. Jack said from World Socionic Society, Pakoki, if you can shout out the people living near New York, Chicago, Orlando, Miami, Austin, and Dallas, that's where we will have meetups. We'll have meetups there too. Yes. And in fact, if you want to get in touch with Jack, then send him an email or send him a message on Facebook or whatever Jack prefers. Again, World Socionic Society. If you are interested, if you know stuff about socionics, or you're just interested in general about going on your own personal meetup journey with that, I know he is looking for people to start meetups there, or at least start conducting things there, kind of in the same regards as what we're doing in Atlanta. Just kind of building a community there with Meetup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with meetup.com and the way it goes about, but basically it's kind of like a little clubs that you can organize and meet up with people and talk about certain topics. I think that is a very good idea. Enigmalicious. Pakoki, have you heard of the human design system? It's similar to astrology in the sense that it is based on one's birth date data, but it gives very different information and insight about a person. Yes, I have heard about that. And now at this point, I think I've said a lot that I have to say about this. it is already 44 minutes, and I don't even know how many people are actually watching at this point, but I think this is where I'm gonna end this. And again, probably people are gonna look at this and be like, what the hell? But yeah. I probably will put out, again, I do want to put out that last SP video in the near future. I really want to just crank that out because I want to get rid of that like Myers-Briggs stuff. And then I'm going to just do different things. And yes, I might do little videos about why Myers-Briggs, like why I hate 16personalitytypes.com and stuff like that. Because I think I do want to make certain clickbaity videos when it comes to Myers-Briggs, just so people see stuff about Socionics. Not advocating for Myers-Briggs, but putting it out there for people. So if you have stuck around this far, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Again, the best way to reach me, I would say, is on Instagram. If you ever want to talk to me on Instagram, I'm not the most talkative person via text, but if you want to reach out, I try to reach out. I try to message people back on Instagram. And again, it is Koki, same as all of my other social media. I'm pretty sure, well, I did make up that word, so it's like kind of, that's a good thing about it, because you can kind of find me wherever. So, yep. Thank you, Astrid. I hope you have a good one as well. And then Malicious, thank you. KR, oof, I just got here. Yes. World Socionics Society, how to make Socionics big on Instagram. That's a good question. Yes, very true. Well, we do have a Instagram on the podcast, My Type of Shit. I haven't posted on there in a long time, but again, we're transitioning the podcast into a Socionics podcast. So we're going to do that. Kenny Ho, maybe a chat room, Discord, something to think about. Yes, there definitely are Discords about Socionics out there. I'm not really a huge user of Discord in general, but I think Sean and Taylor want to have a Discord for the podcast. So yes, also Jack runs the Socionics Discord. Yeah, if you guys are interested in that, definitely join his, and maybe in the future we will have a Discord as well. Yeah, just spread the word. Again, I don't want to sound culty because it kind of does, but let's get this stuff out there. Just yell it out the rooftops to people. Have you heard about Socionics? And just like start the conversation. And actually, oh, I forgot to say this. Victor Glinko just came out with a book a little while ago. I actually just ordered it. I think that it is a very comprehensive book about Socionics. And let's see. It's just very, okay. Book. Sorry. Okay, so the book is called, and this is a book that I'm going to use as a reference as well as other things that I am going to use, including Wiki Socion and the 16types.info and other Socionics material that is out there. But this book is called Psychological Types, Why Are People So Different? 64 Portraits in Socionics. And again, Victor Glinko is the creator of this book. And that will be a huge resource. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing night or morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Yes, it is Model G. I think I don't okay, so we can get into this. There are different models in Socionics. Model A is the first model slash the main model, and Model G is Glencoe's model. It kind of is like sprouting out and it has different information. I think it's good to know both of the models, but there's definitely some really good information alongside Glencoe's stuff. I don't really want to get into it right now, but I think starting off with Model A is probably a better thing to do. But again, for people that don't really know about socionics, probably not even where we want to start, anyways. But, anyways, hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you later.